Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you, and it is Wealth Building Wednesday. I apologize that I'm getting such a late start today, but that was a lot of things that I needed to get squared away. There are a lot of things going on at Rick Wallace Enterprises, which includes a number of subsidiaries, including the Visionetics Institute, Myriad Business Solutions, the Financial Brain Trust, and more. So, lots going on. It's my time to make sure I'm shored up. But anyway, it's Wealth Building Wednesday. I want to really, truly, hopefully help you understand something that I think is extremely important. I want to talk about hedging today. I want to talk about what it means and why it's important and why everybody should be doing it. It's something that everybody knows, whether you know it or not, but very few people practice. Everybody was told at some point growing up, never put all your eggs in one basket. They were simply saying hedge. You hedge by diversifying, by offsetting your current position and the risk in that position. And I'm going to get into all of that. But before I do, there's a couple of things I really want to talk about and share with you that's extremely important. For those who aren't aware, I just re-released the revised version of my 25th book, which is The War on Black Wealth. Breaking the code of generational wealth. And we go through the gamut of everything that Blacks have had to go through that has interrupted the wealth building process and why the racial wealth gap is so wide and widening instead of narrowing. But we also go through a lot. Matter of fact, the predominance of the book is about mechanisms and principles and tools that are available to us right now that we can start building wealth no matter what we make, no matter where we are. The whole idea that you got to have a lot of money before you start building, you build from where you're at and you get to where you're going. I can't stress that enough. But anyway, a couple of things. I've been talking about hedging, which is kind of weird. We're talking about that today. Hedging your income. Anybody that's operating on one stream of income, whether it's a job, whether it's a business, you are taking a major risk, especially with the volatility that's expected in 2023. The way that you protect yourself or you offset the risk of that is by hedging. How do you hedge? Diversify your streams, have multiple streams, and make sure that they're diverse. What does that mean? Having multiple streams of income coming from the same industry isn't really truly hedging. Hedging is I'm going to have offsetting positions, even if it's in the same sphere, that sit up and says that my primary position that I'm holding is being protected by the offset of the hedge. In other words, if I lose here, I'm protected by the way that I'm moving here. And we're going to talk about that a little more. But one of the ways that you do that is by creating multiple streams of income. And it's never been easier. I've been telling you about it. I'm doing a live class on a course I created. I'm doing a live class in 2 days on Friday. It's the last time I'm ever going to do this live. The course exists to operate on a step-by-step personal progress basis. But I just wanted to kind of touch bases with people, so I'm going to do it. If you want to try that, good. What I suggest for people who can afford it is to get our done-for-you services. And it's important today because today is the last day we're doing a remarkably reduced price. For the last couple of months, and I've been telling people about this since about September, October, about the opportunity for us to create your business for you from scratch, done for you. I mean, everything from coming up with helping you come up with the name, creating the website, creating the content, doing the marketing and analysis, writing the blueprint. Writing the business plan, creating the sales funnels, and nurturing this thing until it comes to profitability. We've been offering it now for 3.5-4 months at $29.97. Tomorrow it goes back to the regular price of $10,995, and I'll explain that in a second, talking about hedging and protecting myself. But anyway, this is the last time to get it. Imagine everything you're going to get. And then if it does not reach profitability by the year, we will buy the business back at the purchase price. So there's a guarantee in it. In other words, you're going to have a profitable business within a year, or you'll have your money back. But what you're going to learn in the process, regardless, because you're going to have us on as consultants the entire way through, is how to set up a business online. Once you learn how to set up a business online, you're going to always have an opportunity to protect yourself, to generate something. If one thing goes out, there's always something working. You ever notice that when something stops, there's an answer being sold on helping you get past why it stopped? You're going to have to learn how to adapt. You're going to have to learn how to do this. It's one of the things you're going to have to learn how to do. I forget who said it, but they said it at the turn of the century that the new literate is no longer whether you can read or write. It's whether you can learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's what it's going to take now. But the internet is going to provide you with the tools. Social media is going to provide you with the reach. There's so much to be gained at this. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not something you're going to plug in and get $1 million. You're not guaranteed 6 figures. What you are guaranteed is the amount of energy, effort, and commitment you put into it will show up on the back end. That I can promise you, but you're going to have to be willing to put in the work. With that being said, there's a link in the description box. Another thing that I'm really excited about, and then I'm going to move into this whole hedging thing, is the Legacy Wealth Academy. We are now offering a certification for taking the course. In other words, this course is designed to help you personally get the mindset and understanding of everything involved. I want to put this on here because I want to answer this question. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to get to it in just a second. So Legacy Wealth is a 6-month course that's probably got 2 years worth of nothing but wealth building principles, strategies, everything that you're not being taught in school, everything you're not being taught in basic access to anything, the things that all the people who have been extremely successful in building their wealth, whether they're millionaires or billionaires, have done it. We're going to open it up. We're going to look at it. We're going to learn it. Everything you can imagine is going to be presented to you. If you heard me talk about it in Wealth Building Wednesdays or Money Mondays, it's going to be in this course, but it's going to be in a way that's going to teach you how to move. And it's going to be a part of the psychology of money. It's going to be in there as well. It's about how we look at money. Let me answer this question. Let me read this question, then I'm going to answer it because I want to try to, again, be as engagement as possible. It says, should one quit their job if they decide to set up a business online or wait a while until the business profits replaces your job income? Again, that's a form of a hedge discussion, actually. Personally, different people do things differently, and it depends on how you're built. It depends on the environment you're in. The reasonable thought process would be to hold on to your job until you get to a point to where your income from your business can replace your job. Now, the truth of the matter is, a lot of times that's impossible. Why? Because you're going to reach this point in which the amount of energy, time, and effort it takes to get your business to the next level where it can replace your job is going to require you to put in time you don't have because you're at your job. Now, that's the reality of it. So you're going to a lot of times get to a point where you're going to have to make that decision to take the leap, where you're going to say, okay, I've got to quit because I've got to put into it. And the natural urge or the natural idea behind that is it's being irresponsible. And the truth of the matter is, life is about risk. Life is about what risk are you willing to take. Now, we're not talking about being stupid. We're not talking about it being irresponsible. You need to know by the research that you've conducted in whatever market you're talking about entering into, that the product or service you're offering has space, and that the competition that you're going to be facing in that space is competition that you can stand up against. I can't create a retail space and compete against Amazon, compete against Walmart, compete against Macy's. So thinking that I can enter into that space, but what I can do is create a market to where there's a unique product that I offer. If I'm talking retail clothing that is maybe on the scale of boutique, and I'm offering it and I'm not in their space. I'm in their industry, but I'm not in their space. I'm not competing with them. They're not offering what I'm offering. Then I can sit up and say, okay, that's space. And it takes time to understand that. But what you need to do is you need to have a business plan. You need to have a marketing. You need to do marketing research, create from that marketing research, marketing analysis that basically breaks down how the market is built up. You need to determine whether or not the product or service that you're going to be offering fits into this market, and that there's enough space that gives you a viable opportunity to grow your business. If that's the case, then you start to build out from there and you see how you are doing in the market. Then you make the necessary adjustments and you see basically on that how things are going to perform. And then you can make an educated decision whether or not there's a space for you and whether or not you need to leave where you're at in order to put everything into it. But you need to have, again, a way of hedging that so that if it doesn't work, you're not left with nothing. Number one, hedging that, one way to hedge that is to leave your job on good terms and maybe even get the support of your job in doing what you're doing. It depends on how long you've been there, what you're doing, and what you're leaving to do. But there's no right or wrong answer to that. Some people need to be pushed. And I'll tell you what, some people will never put everything they need to put into a business if they have something to fall back on. Here's what I can also tell you in my years of experience. When it's time to move, it's time to move. And sometimes you don't get a choice. Sometimes that opportunity is there and you're sitting there and going, man, if I leave this, or man, if I do this, and what'll happen is you get laid off. What'll happen is the business folds. What happens is you get fired or whatever. And now you're out there and you don't have a choice. At least when you're making a decision to move, you have a choice. It's your choice to make, but it's all about you knowing what you need to do and being responsible in the way that you make the move. Just sitting up, jumping up, and you don't want to go into the office and tell everybody, like people do when they win the lottery, kiss my ass, and then you go off and realize it wasn't as easy as you thought. Because this is what I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be easy. Starting a business isn't easy. Running a business isn't easy. Even when it's successful and it's literally bringing it, it's not easy. And then there are going to be those lean months. There are going to be those lean years. There's going to be a demand on you to be consistent and persistent in your efforts to hold it together. There may even be a need in you needing to adapt or adjust or swing in the market to land in a different space or place. And you've got to have an awareness to be able to do that. But yes, you can sit up and say, my initial thing is, if you're not sure about where you're going with your business, hold on to your job. If you've tested the waters, if you know the market and you're 100% sure, hold on as long as you have to, because there's going to be this point where you're going to get this meshing where, okay, I've gone as far as I can go and still have another job, have something I'm doing full time while I'm there. And it's going to almost be a mentality thing too. You're going to get to the point where your business stops being the side hustle and your job is. And it'll just happen where you'll look up and you're working your job and you'll look at your job as my side hustle. This is what I do on side of my business. That's the moment when you have to make a decision between one or the other. It's obvious because your job is now the side hustle. It's not the primary source of income. And it's not just about the amount of money you're bringing in. It's about your approach and how you see it. When you you'll never be able to fully take ownership of the job. It's not yours. You can own your position. You can own the work that you do, and you should want to own anything you do. You should want it to be the best quality it could be. You want it to be the highest level of performance it could be, but it can never be all yours because it doesn't belong to you. The difference is in your business, it is yours. And it represents you. It's your name. It's your name on the door. It's your name on the title. It's your name on the DBA. It's your name on the corporation, the articles of incorporation. All of these different things that are going to come a part of your business is going to have your name on it. And it's going to mean something to you. And it's going to make you want to own it. And you may be making more money at the job, but the owning of this thing and what it represents in the future is what you are going to have to eventually use to make your decision on whether or not you leave your job. And here's the other thing that I can tell you. The era in which holding a job and being loyal to a job meant you always had a job has gone. A lot of the people that I've worked with are people who thought they had good jobs, that they were going to be able to retire, collect their pensions, collect their 401, and realized all of a sudden here I am with no job and I'm not prepared for it. The way you prepare for it is you hedge. You sit up and say, even if I'm going to keep my job, I'm going to have something that I'm doing outside of this job that hedges against the potential of losing this job. There's no such thing as risk-free income. I don't care how good your job is, how long you've been on it. It's yours as long as it's yours. And you don't know when that's going to stop and why it may stop. You can't predict everything, but what you can do is be in a situation where you're hedging as much as you possibly can. So I hope I answered that question. Again, before I get into this, I've talked about it a lot, but before I get into this, the done for you thing, $29.97 compared to $10,995 is a no-brainer to those who can afford it. We're going to build it from scratch. You're just going to sit and wait for it to be built. Obviously, we go through this long process in the beginning of consultation where we find out what it is you want to do. Here's the beautiful thing about it. You don't have to have a product or service to start your first online business. This isn't about your dream business. This is about creating an online source of revenue that can hedge against the loss in case you lose your primary source of revenue. Eventually, maybe you're lucky and your first business is your dream business, but it doesn't have to be. But what you do need to be doing is creating it. And we're doing a done for you service now at a remarkable price. Again, that ends today, and it's never going to be that price again. And the reason it's never going to be that price again is because I've come to a point where I can no longer go that hard to meet people, uh, uh, in a space and place where they want to be or need to be. If you want it, you're going to have to come get it. You're going to have to go get it. I've created it. I've worked my ass off for decades to build what I've built. I've been knocked flat to the ground, got back up, rebuilt it again. I've taught people how to do it. Literally what I do predominantly is coach people into doing things that they thought they couldn't do. I also obviously deal with the therapeutic side of psychology as well. But my thing is performance. What are you doing? But I also have done this business thing for so long, I've decided to teach people how to do it. This is an opportunity. Now, the Legacy Wealth Program, I personally believe everybody should sign up for that. Number one is it's not going to stay the price it is. Right now, it's under $1,000 for a course that is packed with probably about 24 to 36 months worth of information. It comes with a lifetime membership to the Epic Realm community of high achievers. These are people who at some point worked with me and have now achieved, some level of success in whatever they're doing. And we're all in one space. It's a mastermind place, and it's a lifetime membership. That's normally $100, but you get it as being a part of Legacy Wealth. And you're going to learn the principles that so many people have built their wealth on that are available to us as we are. And the one thing you're going to hear me say almost all the time is compound growth. We are blowing that one big time. Compound growth. The earlier you start, the better it works for you. Everybody should have their children in some form of a index fund. And they should be contributing to that index fund weekly, monthly, consistently. By the time they're 40, no matter what they put in it, it's going to have multiplied significantly. But once they start to see it about 5 years in, what it's doing, they're going to be more motivated to put more into it. Because what it means is if I could just sacrifice 15 years longer, I'm set. And so many of us miss it. And so we start late. And so we have to look at it different, be a little bit more aggressive in it. But whatever you do, that needs to be a part of your plan. Diversification across assets is another way to hedge. So that's what we're going to talk about. So what is hedging? Hedging is the assumption of an offsetting position that offsets the risk of loss in a particular position you're holding. In the stock market, if I buy this stock, I'm going to buy this stock. That's in an opposing position almost. The case, if this goes down, this goes up, but I'm going to do it in a way that has an asymmetric risk reward type of equation where I can put a little into something and expect a greater return if I win or a small loss if I lose. And we're going to talk about asymmetric risk reward a lot, because when you start talking about the major players, the Ray Dalios, the David Swensons, the Jack Vogels, the Warren Buffetts, and on down the line, you're talking about people who have mastered asymmetric risk reward, meaning instead of putting a whole lot of money up to gain a little, they find these deals where they put in a small amount and stand to gain more than what they put in. It's how they play the game. It's how you win. It's how you advance. It's how you leverage your energy, your effort, your time, and your investments. Again, when you're talking about investing, you're talking about taking risks. The first thing you need to understand, there's no such thing as a risk-free investment. Nothing is guaranteed. But what you want to do is you want to find the best opportunity. And then you want to look at it, and then you want to hedge. What is hedge? Okay, if I'm investing in this, and this is where I'm expecting my return to come from predominantly, what if it doesn't? Well, what positions can I take that will offset that? Now it's a strategic position, so it's hard to get into without examples. It's a strategic position. It's not just saying I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go over here. What you're looking for are different assets that will allow you to take positions to where you're guaranteed that at some point you're going to be okay, because the movement is not like any economic movement or global movement in the world of finance isn't going to tank you because of how you have your diverse investment portfolio set up. I'm invested in real estate. I'm invested in the stock market. I'm invested in business. I'm invested in the Forex. I'm invested in all these different places. You're invested, right? So what happens is, okay, this goes bad, that goes bad. Then you sit up and say, what I like about the Forex is you can literally hedge against self. And so there are all these different places to get into. But the whole goal is to sit up and say, I'm going to protect myself against loss by getting into a diverse stream. I'm not going to have all of my eggs in one basket. And that is something, again, all of us have heard, but very few of us practice. Most of us are operating with our eggs in one basket. We have one job, we have one business. We are, if we are in the stock market, we've got one major stock, or we've got stocks that are pretty much similar and as equally vulnerable to a market shift as the other. So that's not as diverse as you think it is. If I've got stocks that are going to be equally influenced by movement in the market, whether it's a bull market or bear market, it's equally influenced. Then what that means is if one takes a major hit, there's a chance the others are. You need to have a hedging where you're saying, okay, this will withstand this type of hit, while this will be vulnerable to it, this won't. Strategically understanding the vulnerability of your assets allows you to choose where you place your money in each asset. And so that's the thing. And what I can't tell you enough is hedge your value, your worth, your net worth, however you want to do it, by being in hard assets, real estate. It's the soft as you want your assets to be is in the stock market. You don't want large amounts of cash laying around. Why? Because the dollar is taking a whooping, and there's no end to this whooping in sight. And so for every dollar you have laying in the bank, it's becoming worth less and less and less. That's why you see the price of things going up so much. It's not the normal influence of economics that we're taught in basic economics, that inflation is not only driven by a situation where inventory can't meet demand, cost of production, and all of this stuff. You got to ask yourself, why is the cost of production up? Why is the cost of this up? Why is it's because the value of the dollar is down. It takes more of the dollar to buy something because it's not worth what it once was. And we have to be real honest with ourselves about that. So what you want to do with your dollar is put it into something as quickly as you can once you get it that holds value or appreciates in value. What happens then? You definitely want to find appreciating assets. Why? Because if I take a depreciating dollar and I put it in an appreciated assets, guess what it does? It takes what was depreciating and it grows it. So instead of losing by holding the dollar, I am now appreciating what I earned in revenue, in dividends, and whatever. So the idea is to move that into something that's growing. What you want to do is hide it in a business, hide it in something else. So in essence, that's the thing that I want to put on you, is that you need to understand these things. You need to understand how things work. One of the ways that we continue to take hits, and I talk about this in my latest book, The War on Black Wealth, is that we fail to understand how things work. We fail to gain an understanding of how we're impacted and what we can do about it. We are experts at complaining, but we lack the awareness of what's taking place, the dynamic, the rules at play, and everything else that allow us to make wise and effective decisions. So my thing is, you've got to be willing to learn how things work. You've got to be willing to invest. That's why Legacy Wealth Academy is so important, because what you're going to find is what you've been convinced can only happen for them is because you don't understand how things work. You think you got to have this before you can do that. No, you got to create this, and you create this by doing this, this, and this. And it's a step-by-step process. And then it's something that you got to teach early in life, because if you don't, you'll end up with another generation of consumers who think that the way that they show they are successful is by buying up a bunch of depreciating things, not assets, because in order for it to really be a real true asset, it has to be insurable, and it has to be you have to be able to use it as collateral. If you can't insure it and you can't use it as collateral, it's not a real true asset. So you want things that appreciate, you want things that hold value, you want things that will stand the test of time. And it's so many different things out there, so many elements and components that are used. We don't use insurance correctly. We barely use it as all. We barely use it as a life benefit, but it's so much more to insurance than just the life benefit. And those are the things that we need to learn. And those are the things we teach in Legacy Wealth. All of the information to take advantage of the things I talked about today are in the description box. It's up to you to do it. But what I can tell you, the most pressing thing is the done for you online business. Today is the last day to get it at that price. It's going back to the regular price where it will stay, because it's worth it and because it requires so much resource and it's time intensive and it costs. So I've done what I can to meet you there. This is the last day. And I'm not really concerned any longer about not having a whole lot of people take care of it, because I'm at that point now where, like, you want a quality service, I want quality clients. I want people who are really truly fixed in their mind about doing something and exceptional and extraordinary and phenomenal, and willing to put in the energy, effort, and time and sacrifice to do it. Those are the people I'm looking for. Let's see. There's one more question. Hard asset question. Is investing in real estate investment trust ETF, electronically transferable funds, worthwhile, or just do old-fashioned way and buy a property to rent? ETFs. Oh boy, that thing is popping up a lot now. I'm of the school of old-fashioned. Again, it's a state of mind. It's a mindset. It's about what you see. Uh, I like the old way of holding property, because it's the property that actually has the value now. But you can't get into ETFs, which allow you to invest in property ownership. I prefer ownership, deeds, and when I say ownership, I don't necessarily mean ownership in my name, I mean ownership in the sense that I control the ownership. You want things in trusts. That's something else we teach in Legacy Wealth, is the importance of how to hold things in trust, how to put things in trust, how to protect and hedge. A trust is another way of doing that. A trust is another way of passing down wealth as well. Um, uh, it doesn't mean that ETFs don't work. They obviously work. But anytime you're starting to talk about things on that level, you're talking about a lot of things that you need to really spend time to understand. If you gain an understanding of it and it's something that you want to do and you want to move into it, as long as you understand the risk involved, I like sitting up saying, this is mine, because now I can determine how I want to use it and that real property. And that's the whole thing. When you start talking about real estate, you're talking about real property. When you talk about ETFs, it stops being real property and it starts being investing in the ownership of real property. That's a different thing. It's two different things. It's simple to understand in one instance and maybe a little vague in others, but it's about mindset. It's about how you want to see. Now, what ETFs do allow you to do. So let me be a little more about what ETFs do allow you to do. The same thing stocks allow you to do. It allows you to own a piece of something without having enough money to buy the whole thing. And so that's the other way. That's the other way of looking at it. With ETFs, I can buy into something. I own some of it, but I don't own it all. But I own a percentage of it. I own a share of it. And so that's the benefit of it. It's a way to get started. I don't want to sit up and say it's a bad thing. It's just about mindset and how you think and how you move. I hope that answered the question. Again, we'll be back on Monday with Money Monday, and again next Wednesday with Wealth Building Wednesday. I'll consistently be coming with you with different bits of information, because I really truly want us to start seeing the path to a different reality for our lives. There's no flash in the pan. There's no lightning bolt. It's going to take work. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take effort. And this is the challenge that I'm making, that we do this. So on that note, I hope that I was able to bring some enlightenment. On that note, I'm gonna get off of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day, and I'll probably be dropping back in on some other thing or some other topic a little bit later. But you guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.